Private First Class Jason Scheuerman killed himself in Iraq 2.5 years ago. But it wasn't until about 15 months later that his parents learned he left a suicide note when it simply showed up in his dad's North Carolina mailbox, a neatly written final communication from a troubled soldier.
Maybe finally I can get rid of these demons. Maybe finally I can get some peace.
Former Army Commando Chris Scheuerman has spent much of the time since the death trying to get answers from a military he says failed his son, likable and witty as a teen, but who showed suicidal signs as a soldier. They're detailed in the hundreds of documents Scheuerman's family saw only after filing Freedom of Information Act requests, including ones in which soldiers reported seeing him put a rifle in his mouth more than once, and a chaplain saying Scheuerman was obsessed with demons and suicide. Despite suicide prevention training to notice such signs, the Army did not remove Scheuerman from duty, but rather a psychologist determined the 20-year-old was capable of faking mental illness to get discharged.
Then instead of getting help for Jason and seeing the obvious signs and symptoms of severe depression, they took that for malcontent and disobedience and started piling on and making the situation worse.
Scheuerman was stripped of his internet and phone privileges, severing contact with his parents 2 hours after receiving a non-judicial punishment on July 30th, 2005. Private First Class Jason Scheuerman fatally shot himself, leaving his parents fighting the institution his father fought for his entire career.
The bottom line is they knew it. There are multiple documents in there.
They allowed all of the events to take place that led to the death of my son.
The Scheurmans say a suicide trend among soldiers will continue until the Army begins holding leaders accountable. The Army says it does not keep track of how many leaders are punished following suicides in Iraq. As for why families have to formally ask for a copy of the death investigation, the Army says it's because some don't want the information, and it says no results can be released until the investigation's done, which can sometimes take a while if witnesses are spread out across Iraq. And the Army does admit families are sometimes told earlier if there is a suicide note. In this case, not soon enough to prepare Chris Scheuerman for what he found in his mailbox. Sagar Meghani, The Associated Press, The Pentagon.